I was 21 or 23 when I lost my best friend. I went on my first cycle, and he's like, "What was it?" I said 2,000 milligrams trenbolone acetate.
Actually, 2,000.
If you do this amount of steroids, your heart will explode. Alright boys, in today's video we're going to be reacting to Zherka's steroid cycle. And if you don't know who John Zherka is, he's a Twitch streamer originally. And now he's doing the rounds on the internet. He's all over the place because he's going on these podcasts and chatting about all sorts of crazy stuff. People cancelled Tate for what he was saying. Well, John Zherka is a more extreme version of Tate.
Do you know why no one in this table has ever seen an autistic woman? It's because they all are.
Wait, what? Can you repeat that?
Why
all women are autistic?
Why men are autistic and women you don't see autistic women? You cannot tell if a woman's autistic because all of them are.
But in today's video, we're going to be reacting to Zherka's steroid cycle. And please, if there's any young impressionable lads out there, do not listen to this guy.
So you're gonna get the content because you don't believe that I watched you for years. Watch, I'm gonna give you all of it.
It sounds like you decided all the negative, dude. Like you masked it with the shit you shouldn't have been masking.
Yeah, here's the cycle. I showed Derek this cycle, and he's like, "Whoa, why have you never talked about it on stream?" I was like, "I don't want these guys copying me because I overdosed twice." And you know what I mean? On
overdose on what?
On the cycles I was on.
But how are you overdosing? You're overdosing. It's just like a heart attack is an overdose.
No, the ambulance came twice.
Yeah, so you can't overdose on steroids. You can cause heart problems, heart complications like tachycardia, heart arrhythmia. You can even develop angina from steroids, fast heart rate, palpitations. But you can't exactly just overdose from the steroids that you're taking.
And I thought it was normal because I was like, "Oh, Boston Lloyd," and I was watching
a lot of.
I was watching a lot of crazy shit. So I'm like, as long as I'm like 1/10 of Boston Lloyd, I'm safe. Rest in peace, Boston.
Yeah.
Right? He was an honest guy, but definitely crazy.
The fact that he name drops Boston Lloyd as being one of his main sources of inspiration for taking this steroid cycle is absolutely insane. Boston Lloyd died at like 30 years old from steroid abuse. He was a walking steroid test dummy.
He said that's not a cycle, that's a death cycle.
Zherka also mentions that Derek from More Plates, More Dates said that this is a death cycle. And I know that might seem obvious, but what a death cycle means is that by taking it, you are essentially speed running life. So you're speed running your way into an early grave. There's been plenty of bodybuilders as of recent who've passed away who were most likely on these death cycles where they're taking high doses of extremely toxic steroids.
So it was, he said that's not a cycle, that's a death cycle, and this is my first cycle ever, and I thought it was normal.
He also mentioned it was his first cycle ever. Now, obviously, we have to take this with a grain of salt. He could be lying. He is purposely trying to go viral by saying outlandish things on these podcasts. So don't believe everything you hear. He knows that he's going on Bradley Martin's podcast. Bradley Martin takes steroids. He's got a huge fitness following. He's a big fitness influencer. And he knows if he goes on this podcast and starts reeling off loads of steroids, it's going to get good viewership. And in this day and age, there's no such thing as bad press. But if it is his first cycle, this is crazy because I've known lads and they do start the first cycle by injecting. Some lads will start just by taking oral steroids, but some lads jump straight into the heavy stuff. And people like John Zherka, who have these extreme personalities, are more likely to do these sort of things and jump on the heavy gear. If you've been following Zherka for a while, you'll see he doesn't really strike it as the type of person who's patient. He definitely is the type of person who gets on loads of gear, smashes the gym for about 4 months, then stops. And we already know that he's a raging coke addict.
2,000 milligrams of trenbolone acetate, and I have footage of my buddy's 3cc.
That is insane.
No, that's not even half the cycle, bro. Check this out.
Now, as I've said multiple times, I am no steroid expert. I just mainly try and advocate for being natural. But along this journey of pushing this message of being natural, I've picked up a lot of information about steroids and the doses that you should take. Now, typically, if you look online, the general recommendation for trenbolone is around 50 to 100 milligrams per week. Zherka has just said that he had 2,000 milligrams of tren. You're seeing Bradley's reaction. Either he is completely lying or he's completely insane. And from what I understand, this much tren just isn't necessary whatsoever. He could literally take a 16th of that and it would still be too much. You're pretty much risking your heart exploding with that much tren.
3cc, rusty orange tren, the good stuff. Back then it was fucking crazy. And this was before Jeff Side and them or Gymshark, so nobody was that jacked. I was the first, and then these fucking great genetic guys came out like you guys, but I had bad genetics, so I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna do fitness. I thought it would pay me, right? And I'm at the nightclub and I can't fight and I'm terrified and I want to quit my job. I said, boys, each of you inject me, and I got the tren cough. The nastiest tren cough of my life.
Zherka said that he's small, he can't fight. It's probably one of the reasons why he took tren, so he could beef up, he could have a little bit more aggression and feel a little bit more confident in himself. There's a lot of bouncers doormen out there who take trenbolone, and it does make you extremely aggressive. That's why a lot of these doormen are on power trips, and they are aggressive, and they are just looking for fights because they're taking copious amounts of steroids. A lot of drug dealers, a lot of grafters, they also take tren. I had a client years ago, he used to bodybuild back in the day. He'd never taken anything heavy like tren. He'd just done stuff like Anavar, a bit of test, and then he stopped for years. So then he came to me, we'd done it completely naturally, and then in our last few months together, he started getting on a few compounds. It started off with a little bit of Anavar, then he moved on to test, and then he switched on to tren. And he said in just those 4 weeks that he was on tren, he said, I wanted to absolutely batter me beard every day. I just felt like strangling it. Ah! He said it made him dead angry. He hated it. It made him paranoid, give him night sweats. As Zherka said, he had the tren cough, and he came off it straight away. He said it just wasn't worth the benefit for what? An extra couple pounds of muscle. Right now, this is where it gets crazy.
We're in a garage, dusty garage, and I inject 2,000 milligrams of trenbolone acetate, 2,000 milligrams of equipoise, 1,000 milligrams of Mastron. I believe it was an enthate. 1,000. I don't know if it's milligrams or micromilligrams, but I'd really hate platforming this. DMP.
Bro.
And I'm not done. 70.
Okay, let's break that down. He said that he'd done 2,000 milligrams of equipoise. This increases your muscle protein synthesis, and it binds to the androgen receptors, so it increases your muscle size, your muscle fullness, and also increases your strength. Then he said he has 1,000 milligrams of Mastron. This is typically known as a weaker steroid. It's kind of similar to Anavar in a sense that you usually take it when you're stripping body fat, so when you're dieting. And they say that Mastron can give you that tight, dense look to your muscles. And then he said he'd done 1,000 milligrams of DNP, which is a weight loss drug, and he's still not done. That right there is enough to put down a full size bull.
And I'm not done. 75 mcg clen a day. Boo, 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 boo. 75 mcg T3 a day. Boo, 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 boo. 100 milligrams of Anadrol a day.
Okay.
Boom.
Stop.
Check this out. 100
There's no way.
Check this out. 100 mgs of, I have footage of taking all this pills, needles. I don't platform it. 100 mgs of Win a day. 100 mgs of VAR a day.
So he was doing 75 milligrams of clenbuterol, which is a weight loss based drug and is known to give you the worst palpitations and fast heart rate ever. I know girls who used to take this. He said he was taking T3, which is known to boost your metabolism. He was also taking Anadrol, which once again helps increase your muscle size, strength, and endurance. He was taking Winstrol, which, similar to Mastron, binds to the androgen receptors and promotes muscle growth via increased protein synthesis. I've seen people get that grainy look from Winstrol. We call it Winnie the Pooh. Then he was on Anavar as well, which is also a stripping steroid. Well, people typically take it when they are dieting, but it still puts mass on you. People often say it's a weak steroid, but when you see the difference that it makes between someone going from natural to just being on Anavar, it's huge. That's when you realize how powerful these steroids are. Even the weak steroids are ridiculously powerful. So if Zherka isn't lying and he took 1/10 of what he's saying here, that still is miles beyond what is achievable naturally, and he's still not done.
40 milligrams. This is my favorite drug that actually destroyed me. Made me, I was knocking out MMA fighters that are amateurs in my city at my size. Big boys. 40 milligrams of halo testing.
Yeah, okay, listen.
Now, I've heard about this halo testing. I don't know much about it, but from what I have heard, it is meant to make you proper angry. Apparently, it's similar to tren. Some people say that it's even worse than tren. Maybe that's why it's not as mainstream yet, and all the kids on TikTok aren't talking about it just yet. In fact, here's what the steroids expert, more plates, more dates, had to say about it.
This is literally roid rage in a bottle. When you think of what steroids might do to your personality or your aggression or your flying off the handle, like, yeah, tren is going to make you have a short fuse and you're going to overreact to situations. However, this is like the rage part of tren, like pulled out and enhanced to an even heightened extent. It's like the roid rage of tren on steroids with none of the paranoia and suspicion that like everyone's trying to get you. It's really just like you're fucking pissed. Like that's what halo is in a oral essentially.
Sounds healthy, doesn't it? Now I actually believe his steroid cycle more than I believe that he was knocking out MMA fighters who were his size, because Zherka can't punch, he's not hard, he's not tough. He's just big, and that's often what you find with these big fellas is they can't really fight but the size makes up for a lot of that lack of skill. We've been talking about it a lot these last few weeks on the channel. If you're interested in this sort of stuff, then check out yesterday's video right here, where we talk about how I would go about beating Bradley Martin in a street fight, where we talk about size versus skill. But Zherka's just a big dude. Has he really been tested by other dudes his size in an MMA fight? I think I'll batter him. I'm telling you, one of these days when I've got more subscribers, I'm going to end up having a spar or a fight or a celebrity boxing match with one of these influencers. So make sure you like the video and support this channel if you want to see that happen. So the amount of drugs he's taken in there is absolutely insane. I'm surprised he's not dead. In fact, he's not even finished.
And check, this is the worst part. Yo, this is the worst part. 5 to 6 tablets of, I don't know how much it was, letrozole a day. So that crushes 99% of human estrogen in the body, while I was taking 4 pills of Arimidex aromatase inhibitor a day. And yo, check this out. This is the best part. 0 testosterone base. 0. So I was the most aggressive motherfucker with Coke, Molly, GHB, and Jameson.
All right, dude.
That's the cycle.
I really hope he's lying. He said he was taking 5 to 6 tablets of letrozole a day. It's a medicine used for treating breast cancer. Tren is used to put meat on bulls and horses. Imagine putting all this in you to just be a little bit bigger. Shaving how many years off your life? And not to mention the fact that he's open about being a cokehead. See, watching stuff like this, you got to understand that it is entertainment to a certain extent. He could be lying, but he also could be telling the truth. Either way, just by talking about it in the manner that he is, it could influence young and impressionable kids to maybe try some of this stuff because they want to be like Zherka. And that's the problem that we encounter, is you become one of these influencers. You've got a lot of kids who look up to you. You're funny, you're entertaining. Now all of a sudden you're glamorizing steroids and saying that you was knocking out MMA fighters your size. You've got young, weak, skinny kids who also want to be able to do that. They're just going to copy and emulate because they're not smart enough to read between the lines. They're too young to do so. That's why you have to be really extremely clear when you're talking on podcasts like these. It's going to get clipped up. He's going to get the Tate treatment. He probably won't even get cancelled either, because you could look at him and say, yeah, but he's a bum though. Whereas a lot of people hate Tate because Tate has got the life that they want. So it's easy to kind of shrug Zherka off and just roll your eyes at what he's saying. But as I say, those kids out there who don't know the difference, they just have to be careful. I pray that they see videos like these where I'm talking and breaking it down about how bad it is for you, so they don't make stupid decisions. We definitely know that he's taking steroids because the size of him at one point, it was clear that he was on the gear, and he's downsized significantly now. And usually when someone goes that big and then downsizes drastically, it's because they've went on and off cycle. You lose it quite fast. It's just we don't know how truthful he's being about how much he's taken. So what do you guys think of this video? Do you think he's lying? Do you think he actually took that many steroids? Do you know anyone who's taken a high dose of steroids, maybe had certain side effects from them? Or have you taken steroids yourself and regretted taking them? Comment down below. I want to see your stories. Make sure you like the video, and I'll see you all tomorrow.